December 25th, the day when millions of families wake up to joy, laughter, and celebration. But behind some of those perfectly decorated doors, Christmas morning becomes the day that destroys lives forever. What I'm about to share with you isn't an urban legend. These aren't ghost stories or internet creepypasta. These are three real families whose Christmas mornings turned into living nightmares. Their stories were documented by police reports, news headlines, and court records. What happened to them could happen to anyone. And after hearing their stories, you'll never look at Christmas morning the same way again. Before we begin, I notice 97% of you watching this video aren't subscribed. If you enjoy real horror stories like these, subscribe now and hit that notification bell. I used to love Christmas morning, the quiet dawn hours before Emma would wake up, when I'd sit with my coffee, watching the lights twinkle on our little artificial tree. Now those memories feel like they belong to someone else, someone who didn't know how quickly peace could shatter. I should start from the beginning. I'm a nurse at Memorial Hospital, or I was back then. Night shift, emergency department. You see everything there. The desperate, the broken, the lost souls who have nowhere else to go. Most faces blur together after a while. But his I remember. He came in one June night. Severe anxiety attack, they said. James Morrison, 34. No previous medical history. I was assigned to monitor his vitals while the doctor evaluated him for admission to the psychiatric unit. He seemed normal, polite even, kept apologizing for being there, saying he just needed help getting his medication adjusted. That's the thing about working in emergency psychiatry. Sometimes the quietest patients are carrying the heaviest darkness. I should have noticed how his eyes followed me, how he asked such specific questions about my schedule, about whether I worked holidays. But when you're pulling 12-hour shifts, sometimes the warning signs blur into the exhaustion. They admitted him to the psychiatric unit for 3 days. I didn't think about him again until the Christmas cards started arriving at the nurse's station. One every few days, starting in November. All addressed to me, all unsigned. Just observations about how dedicated I was to my patients, how my brown hair caught the fluorescent lights, how my daughter must be proud to have such a caring mother. I never told Emma about the cards. She was only 8, still believing in Santa, still thinking Christmas was nothing but magic and joy. I'd been raising her alone since her father left when she was 3, and I'd gotten good at keeping the hard parts of life from touching her world. The hospital security took the cards seriously. They changed my parking spot, had someone escort me to my car after shifts. The cards stopped coming around December 15th. We thought it was over. You know what the worst part is? I actually felt guilty about Emma's Christmas that year. Money was so tight, night shift differential only goes so far when you're a single mom. I picked up extra shifts whenever I could, coming home long after Emma was asleep, just so I could afford that digital art tablet she wanted. The one that arrived in that plain brown box 2 days before Christmas. I remember wrapping it at my kitchen table at 3 a.m. after my shift. The paper had little silver snowflakes on it, Emma's favorite. I was so tired, I almost didn't notice the other present when I went to put it under our tree. Almost. It was wrapped in gold paper, expensive looking with a perfect bow. The kind of wrapping you'd see in department store windows. The tag read, "To Sarah, from your secret admirer." I should have called the police right then. But it was 3 a.m. on December 23rd, and I told myself it must be from my mother. She had a key, sometimes dropped by when I was working. Left little surprises for Emma. It had to be her. It had to be. Christmas Eve, I worked a shorter shift. Came home at midnight to find Emma had arranged all the presents perfectly. She'd put that gold one right in front, saying it looked the prettiest. I lay awake all night, staring at my bedroom ceiling, listening for, I don't know what. Everything seemed so quiet. Too quiet. Emma woke me up at 6 a.m. sharp, like she did every Christmas. Her excitement was contagious. For a few minutes, I forgot about the gold package. We sat by the tree, and she started opening her presents. The way her face lit up when she saw the art tablet. For a moment, everything felt perfect. Then she handed me the gold package. Felt heavy. Professional grade wrapping paper, I realized. The kind they use at high-end boutiques. The kind we used in the hospital gift shop. Inside was a leather-bound photo album. Black, expensive. The first page was blank except for a note. I've been watching our love grow. The pictures started from June. Me walking to my car after night shifts. Emma at her school playground. Both of us at the grocery store. Through our living room window while we decorated the Christmas tree. Each photo dated, captioned. The last one was from yesterday, me wrapping Emma's presents at the kitchen table. The final page had today's date written in red ink. I'll be seeing you soon. We can finally be a family. I grabbed Emma and ran. Didn't even put on shoes. Mrs. Chun next door was just getting her morning paper. I remember she was wearing a red Christmas robe. She took one look at my face and pulled us inside, called 911. They found him in our shed. James Morrison, released from a different psychiatric facility the week before. He'd been there for hours watching through the window, waiting for the perfect moment to join our Christmas morning. They found zip ties in his pocket, a knife, and a ring. The detective later told me he'd been living in a vacant house 3 doors down. Had pictures of us covering the walls. He'd followed me home months ago, learned our routines. Knew exactly when I'd be too tired to notice him watching. They found dozens of Christmas cards he hadn't sent yet, all describing the life we'd have together. He'd planned everything. Even had a special outfit picked out for Emma to wear for when he took us away. A little white dress with red ribbons. Size 8, just like her. We moved 2 states away. I work days now in a private clinic. Emma's 11. Doesn't believe in Santa anymore. But that's not what breaks my heart. It's the way she checks the locks before bed. The way she never sits with her back to windows. The way she wraps presents in plain red paper because shiny gold makes her hands shake. Sometimes, on Christmas morning, I still wake up at 3 a.m. Still check the shed, the windows, the doors. Still feel those eyes watching. Because the truth is, the most terrifying monsters aren't the ones hiding under the bed or in dark closets. They're the ones who wrap their darkness in shiny paper and pretty bows, waiting for the perfect moment to destroy the magic of an ordinary Christmas morning. And sometimes they're patient enough to wait all year for that moment to arrive. I don't drink coffee by the Christmas tree anymore. 7:13 a.m. on Christmas morning. The call that changed everything. Daddy, help! I can't breathe. Those were the last words Linda Martinez heard through her son's bedroom door before the smoke alarm finally screamed to life. By then, the second floor was already an inferno. The Christmas tree downstairs would become a torch in exactly 47 seconds. Her son Tyler had just turned 12. His new gaming setup, still wrapped in festive paper, would be his last Christmas gift. I know these details because I was the first firefighter through that door. In 32 years of service, I've pulled people from burning buildings, cut them out of mangled cars, watched life slip away beneath my hands. But this call was different. This one haunts me, because unlike most tragedies, I know exactly how many dollars it would have cost to prevent it. $25. The price of a surge protector that remained wrapped under a burning Christmas tree. The call came in at 7:13 a.m. I remember checking my watch, thinking about my own kids who would be opening presents right about then. Structure fire, 1247 Maple Grove Drive. The address stuck with me because it was just 3 streets over from where my daughter lived. The same kind of suburban neighborhood, the same kind of 2-story colonial homes with matching Christmas decorations. We were there in 4 minutes. You could smell the smoke from 2 blocks away, that acrid, electrical smell that every firefighter learns to dread. The kind that tells you this isn't just wood burning. This is plastic, electronics, synthetic materials releasing toxins into the air. The mother was on the front lawn in a bathrobe and mismatched slippers. One red, one green. Christmas slippers. Her name was Linda Martinez. She was screaming, but not the usual hysterical screams we hear at fire scenes. These were different, focused. One word, over and over. Tyler. My partner John got to her first while I assessed the structure. The smoke was pouring from the second-floor windows, thick and black. The thermal imaging camera showed hotspots spreading through the walls like cancer. The fire had been burning longer than anyone realized. Linda grabbed my arm as I passed. Her fingers were like steel cables. "Tyler's room," she said. "Second floor, end of the hall. He just got everything he wanted for Christmas." Inside, the heat hit us like a wall. The Christmas tree in the living room was already gone. Just a skeletal black frame surrounded by melted ornaments and scorched presents. The stairs were still intact, but the smoke was so thick you couldn't see your hand in front of your face. We had to go by feel, by memory, by instinct. The second floor was worse, much worse. The hair on the back of my neck stood up. The air was charged with electricity. That's when I noticed the extension cords. They were everywhere, running under the carpets, along the baseboards, all leading to Tyler's room. The door was closed, hot to the touch, but not fully involved yet. When we breached it, I understood everything. The room was a testament to modern Christmas morning. A new VR headset, still in its charging dock. A gaming laptop plugged into an external monitor. A smartphone and tablet charging side by side. All of them connected to a single power strip that had been hidden behind the bed for God knows how long. The power strip itself was barely recognizable. Just a melted mass of plastic and metal, surrounded by scorched carpet and blackened drywall. It had probably been burning for hours before anyone noticed. Those old power strips, they don't always trip when they should. Sometimes they just get hotter and hotter until we found Tyler in his gaming chair. He must have fallen asleep playing with his new VR headset. The medical examiner later said the smoke probably got him before he even knew what was happening. Small mercy, I suppose. The investigation revealed everything we already knew in our hearts. The power strip was at least 10 years old, worn out, dust-clogged. Not designed to handle the load of all those modern devices charging at once. The Christmas tree downstairs, a real one, hadn't been watered in days. When the fire reached it, you know what keeps me up at night? Not the fire itself, not even finding Tyler. It's the receipt we found in the kitchen, dated December 23rd, for a new surge protector. Linda had bought it as a stocking stuffer, wrapped it up all pretty with a bow. It was still under the burned tree when we found it. 3 days. Tyler survived in the ICU for 3 days. Linda sat there the whole time, still wearing those mismatched Christmas slippers. She talked to him constantly, promising him new games, new devices, anything he wanted. But his lungs were too damaged. On December 28th at 3:42 p.m., Tyler Martinez became the 23rd fire fatality in our district that year. The next day, I went to every house in my neighborhood, checked power strips, surge protectors, extension cords. Some people thought I was crazy. One guy actually complained to my supervisor about me, disrupting the holidays, but I kept seeing Tyler's room in my mind, kept smelling that electrical smoke. I did the same thing last Christmas, and I'll do it again this year. Because here's what most people don't understand about tragedy. It doesn't announce itself. It builds up in the walls of our homes, in the dust behind our furniture, in all the little shortcuts, and it'll be find moments we accumulate over the years. Linda moved away after that. Couldn't stand to be in the neighborhood anymore. But she sends me a Christmas card every year. Always the same message. Thank you for trying. Last year, she included a photo of Tyler's gaming chair. She had it restored, keeps it in her new living room. Says it helps her remember not just how he died, but how he lived doing what he loved. The Martinez house was rebuilt. New family lives there now. They put up Christmas lights this year, but I noticed they're all LED. Energy efficient, safer. Sometimes when I drive past at night, I look up at that second floor window. The new owners turned Tyler's old room into a home office. But every December 25th, around 7:13 a.m., I swear I can still smell that electrical smoke. You want to know the real horror of that Christmas morning? It's not that it was unavoidable. It's that it was completely preventable. We all have those old power strips tucked away somewhere. We all have Christmas trees we forget to water. We all think it won't happen to me, but sometimes when all those little negligences line up just right, when all those small oversights converge on one perfect moment. That's when tragedy finds its way in. And it doesn't care if it's Christmas morning. It doesn't care if you're 12 years old and just got everything you wanted. It doesn't care if your mom is downstairs making hot chocolate with extra marshmallows, the way you like it. I still have Tyler's VR headset. The department kept it for training purposes to show new firefighters what electrical fires can do. The plastic is warped, melted, barely recognizable, but you can still see the Christmas price tag on the box. $299.99. The new surge protector Linda bought would have cost $24.99. That's the cost of a life these days. $25. Remember that next time you plug in your Christmas presents. The sound of footsteps outside my apartment door at 3 a.m. is forever etched in my memory. Slow, deliberate searching. On any other night, I might have dismissed them as a neighbor returning late. But this was Christmas morning, and I lived on the third floor of a building that required a key fob just to enter the lobby. A building that should have been nearly empty, with most residents away for the holidays. My name is Rachel Chin. I was 24, alone in my first apartment at the Oakwood complex. That Christmas, my parents were on a cruise, a retirement gift to themselves. My sister was in Seattle with her new husband's family. I had convinced myself I didn't mind spending the holiday alone. I had my cat, Mr. Whiskers, a bottle of Cabernet, and a queue full of holiday movies. I even bought myself a present to open on Christmas morning. I never got the chance to unwrap it. The evening started normally enough. I made myself pasta, watched It's a Wonderful Life, and texted holiday wishes to friends. Around midnight, I decided to take a hot bath, a little Christmas Eve luxury. That's when I first noticed something was off. Through the bathroom window, I could see the parking lot. My blue Honda Civic was the only car in view. No surprise, most residents had left for the holidays. But something about the emptiness made me uneasy. I remembered parking facing the building, but now my car was facing out, toward the street. I told myself I was mistaken. Memory plays tricks when you're tired. At 2 a.m., I was curled up on the couch with Mr. Whiskers, halfway through Miracle on 34th Street, when he suddenly went rigid. His ears flattened, eyes fixed on the front door. Cats do strange things, I told myself. But then I heard it. Footsteps in the hallway. Not the usual shuffling of neighbors, but deliberate, slow steps. They stopped at my door. "Hello? Is anyone there?" The voice was female, young, trembling with what sounded like fear. "Please, I need help. My car broke down, and it's freezing out here." I lived on the third floor of a secure building. You needed a key fob just to enter the lobby. Even if her car had broken down, she shouldn't have been able to get this far. "I can call roadside assistance for you," I offered through the door, my voice steadier than I felt. "No, please. My phone's dead, and I just need to warm up for a few minutes. I'm so cold. Please, I think I'm getting frostbite." December in Minnesota is brutal. The temperature that night was -15. A part of me wanted to help, but a deeper, more primitive part of my brain was screaming that something wasn't right. I looked through the peephole. A woman in a puffy winter coat was huddled against my door, her face hidden by a scarf and hood. As I watched, she shifted, and something caught the hallway light. A small earpiece, glinting like a beetle's shell. "I'm calling the police," I said, reaching for my phone. That's when I heard the second voice. Deep, male, annoyed. "She's not buying it. Check the back door." The woman's demeanor changed instantly. "Listen here, you little bitch." The rest was lost in the sound of my fingers shaking against my phone screen as I dialed 911. The dispatcher's voice was calm, practiced. "Stay quiet," she advised. "Officers are 3 minutes out. Do not engage with them. Find a secure room." I grabbed Mr. Whiskers and ran to my bathroom, the only room with a lockable door and no windows. As I closed the door, I heard glass breaking. The living room window. Footsteps. Heavy boots on broken glass. Check the bedroom first. Rich bitches always hide in walk-in closets. I sat in my bathtub, one hand over Mr. Whiskers' mouth to keep him quiet, the other clutching my phone. Through the bathroom door, I could hear them ransacking my apartment. One of them rattled the bathroom handle. "This one's locked. Stand back." The door frame splintered with the first kick. Second kick. Third. Red and blue lights flooded my bathroom window. Sirens wailed. Running footsteps. Shouts of "police" on the ground. They caught 3 of them. 2 men and the woman who'd begged for help. Part of a crew that targeted single women during holidays. They'd hit 12 apartments across 3 states that month alone. The detective showed me their trunk. Zip ties, duct tape, bleach. Professional home invaders, he called them. They found my car keys in one of the men's pockets. They'd stolen them from my mailbox 2 days earlier, made a copy while I was at work, used them to move my car, testing to see if I'd notice. It was their way of playing with their food before the kill. In my apartment, they found what the woman had dropped when the police arrived, a small notebook with detailed notes about my routine. When I left for work, when I usually went to bed, what time I checked my mail. They'd been watching me for weeks. My ordinary life had become their research project. The woman, Lisa Torres, made a deal with prosecutors. She told them everything. How they chose targets, single women, usually in their 20s, living alone in secure buildings. How they studied each victim for weeks, learning their patterns. How they always struck on holidays, when neighbors were away and response times were slower. "Christmas is best," she said in her statement. "People are more likely to open their doors on Christmas. They feel guilty saying no to someone in need. They're all in prison now, 15 to 20 years each. But that's not why I'm telling you this story. I moved after that night. New apartment, new city, new life. But I took lessons with me. I installed cameras, ones that back up to the cloud. I got a security system that alerts police automatically. I changed my routines, became unpredictable. But here's what haunts me most. I almost opened that door. If I hadn't seen that earpiece glinting in the hallway light, if Mr. Whiskers hadn't sensed something wrong, if I hadn't been slightly paranoid from watching too many true crime documentaries, I would have opened that door. Because it was Christmas, and someone was asking for help. The detective later told me they found videos on their phones. Other victims, other apartments, other Christmas mornings. In each one, the woman played the same role, the desperate stranger needing help. And in each one, someone opened their door. Because it was Christmas, and no one wants to think evil exists on Christmas morning. This year, I'm spending Christmas with family. But somewhere out there, someone is alone in their apartment watching holiday movies, feeling guilty about not being more social. And somewhere, someone is counting on that guilt. Counting on the holiday spirit to override our instincts. Counting on the fact that on Christmas morning, we all want to believe in the goodness of strangers. Just remember, real monsters don't hide under beds or in closets. They hide behind friendly voices and plausible stories. They count on our kindness, our guilt, our desire to help. And they know exactly when we're most vulnerable, when we're alone, when we're feeling lonely, when we're trying to prove to ourselves that being alone on Christmas doesn't make us somehow less. I still celebrate Christmas, still watch holiday movies, still put up a tree. But now, when I hear someone knock on my door on Christmas morning, I don't feel guilty about not answering. Because I know that sometimes the greatest gift you can give yourself is the power to say no. Mr. Whiskers is still with me. He still sleeps on my couch, still watches holiday movies with me. But now, when he stares at the door, I don't dismiss it as cats being cats. I listen. I watch. I wait. Because evil doesn't take holidays off. And sometimes, the most dangerous gift is the one that comes wrapped in a stranger's plea for help. 3 families, 3 Christmas mornings, 3 lives forever changed by moments that shattered their sense of safety. Their stories remind us that sometimes the most dangerous gifts aren't wrapped in shiny paper. They're wrapped in our own sense of security, in our belief that tragedy only happens to other people. Tonight, before you sleep, take a moment to check your power strips, your door locks, your windows, and remember that evil doesn't take holidays off. It waits, watches, and chooses the moments when we feel safest to strike. If these stories kept you on edge, hit that subscribe button now and become part of our growing community. Real horror doesn't hide in shadows. It lives in the everyday moments we take for granted. Click the notification bell to never miss an upload, and let me know in the comments which of these 3 stories haunted you the most. If you have your own true horror story to share, send it to the email in the description below. Your story might be featured in our next video. Stay safe, stay vigilant, and remember, not every Christmas morning brings the gifts you're expecting.